Hey y'all, Miss Kennedy here from Algebra Student, and today we're looking at taking cube roots, sum and differences of cube roots. And so go ahead and hit subscribe. I'm going to show you how to understand the algebra so that you can make sense of it and move on with your life. And be sure to stick around to the end. I'm going to give you some extra little help, hopefully make it something to make it worth your time. All right, so 8x cubed plus 125. So step one is to find the GCF, and the GCF means greatest common factor, and sometimes that's the hardest step of this process, really. So your calculator can really make a big difference here. Type in 8 over 125 as a fraction. And when you do that, if it doesn't reduce, that tells you there's no GCF here. If there was a GCF, that would be a number that would divide into both of those and reduce it to a smaller fraction. So if it doesn't change, just like it doesn't here, 8 over 125 stays the same, that means there's no GCF. So you can jump right into the problem. And the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the cube root of these things. And so cube root is different. This is square root, the little x squared button there. We're not doing that. We're doing the cube root. So you actually type in a number 3 for cube, and then you hit second, and then you hit this button here. It's not the normal x squared button that you would use. It's the little house top button that's, if you notice right above it, it's got an X and then a square root symbol. And that's saying you can tell it what root you're trying to find. So we're looking for the cube root. And so cube root of 8. So I'm going to put in 8 and I get 2. So the cube root of 8 is 2. And then think, cube root of x cubed. Well, those 3's cancel out. So the cube root of x cubed is just an x. All right. And then you keep the sign. So whatever the sign is here, you write it down there. And there's a definite pattern to this, and that's going to be one of the biggest things to help you is once you learn the pattern, then you can do every problem like this because it's just a simple, fairly straightforward pattern to do it. All right, now let's do the cube root of 125. So we type in a 3 and then second and the little house top. So it gives us that cube root and then 125. And that is 5. So that means that 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. So, all right. So that's the first term of your answer. And then what you do is you're going to follow this little pattern for finding the second part. Now on algebrastudent.com, I have a PDF that you can download that's free. You don't have to log in. You don't have to give me your email address, none of that. And it's a flow chart of just step by step of everything you need to do from the very first thing we did to look for a GCF all the way through. And I mean, some steps are literally write a plus, like write parentheses, it's just very broken down for you. So check that out if you think that might be helpful to you. All right. I'm going to erase what looks like a decimal to me out here. That's bothering me. Okay. So now next step is after we write our parentheses here, take whatever you wrote first and square it. So 2 squared, probably that's 4. 2 squared is 4. And then x squared is x squared, right? And here's where you're going to take the opposite sign. So whatever sign was in the problem, you use the opposite. Don't make it harder than it is. If it says plus, you write a minus. If it said minus in the problem here, then you write a plus. So you do the opposite. And now you multiply these two terms together. They're called A and B, but just whatever these two things are. So 2 times 5 is 10, and that has an x on it. It's 2x times 5, actually. So minus 10 and then x. And let me erase this just so it's not confusing. Oh, I can't believe they recognize that as a shape. That's funny. It won't re-erase. All right. And then the last thing is you write a plus sign. Just write a plus at the end. And you take whatever the last number is and you square it. So 5 squared is 25. 5 times 5. And that's it. That is your answer. And that is finding the cube root. That's the pattern that works every time. All right, for those of you that stayed to the end, let me find, here's the other one. All right, so this is considered the difference of two cubes because both of these are cubed terms, and there's a minus sign in the middle, so that makes it a difference. Whereas the first one, the first one had a plus sign, so that makes it the sum, and this one's the difference. Okay. So first things first, remember we take the cube root of these, and so cube root of x cubed, the 3's just cancel, and that just leaves you with x. So the first thing is x. Remember, write the sign just like it is there. So this is a minus, so I'll write a minus. And then cube root of 27. So 3, second, the little housetop button, and 27. And that is 3 because 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. And so that's all the calculator's doing for you, but it's nice to be able to check it. All right, close and open a new parentheses, and then take the first part and square it, x squared. Take the sign and write the opposite. So minus becomes a plus. And then multiply these together. 3 times x is just 3x. And then write a plus. Always, this is always a plus. Or positive, however you want to think of it. And then square the last term. So 3 squared is 9. And if you squared 3, negative 3, that is positive 9 also. But it's always positive, so just write a plus every time. And then you don't have to remember anything. You don't have to remember, well, do I sometimes do this or that? Nope, you just always write a plus at the end. And that's it. X squared is 3x plus 9. And I wanted to check one thing. Yep, good deal. Okay, so sometimes we think of this as standard operating procedure, but in this case, it means same, opposite, positive. Let's do that. All right, so same means the same sign here. Same sign goes right here. The opposite of whatever was in the problem goes here. And the last one is a positive. So your standard operating procedure is same, opposite, positive. Let that help you.